Hello everybody, welcome to today's Knowledge webinar, Canvas Envision, Game-Changing Digital Work Instruction. Today's Knowledge webinar is the first introductory webinar for Canvas Envision, which is used by manufacturing organizations to create and consume model-based work instructions for assembly, maintenance and repair, or training. Canvas Envision enables game-changing interactive instructional experiences that connect workers to operational knowledge on the floor and in the field. Today's webinar presenter, Ellie Linehan, is Vice President Solutions at Canvas GFX, where she guides customers and partners as they leverage model-based work instruction within engineering workflows to drive transparency, sustainability, and quality. Ellie has over 10 years of experience in aerospace design and manufacturing, 3D visualization, and PLM. What a great pedigree. And now let me tell you a little bit about Knowledge and where you can find Envision. So this is the product page where you can check out Envision, and you can check all that Envision does, and give us a call if you want more information. Our phone number displayed on every page of our website, and Knowledge is changing the way designers purchase 3D software, offering more choices, more freedom, best advice, and faster service. Check us out at knowledge.com. And now, without further ado, I'm going to share Ellie's screen. There, take it. Great, we can see your slides. Take it away, Ellie.
Thank you, Barbara. Hi, so as the introduction stated, Canvas has a product, Canvas Envision, which enables model-based work instructions to power your success. We were the 2023 New Product of the Year winner at Factory of the Future at the Assembly Show. So just a context of what we do, who we serve. We serve the manufacturing industry and the challenges they face to hire their workforce, train their workforce, and retain them. And we also help manufacturers with digital transformation. So data-driven continuous improvement, digitizing work instructions for the modern workforce. A preview of our product here. I think I might have, Barbara, I think I might have lost my screen. Just a moment.
Okay, no worries. We can see it.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Yep.
It's just a new webinar interface. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So there we go. Thank you. So on the right-hand side, we can see an EV doc, which is the Canvas Envision file format that enables you to have model-based visual interactive work instructions and maximize the knowledge transfer that's possible to those on the front line, those being trained, utilizing the assets that you have, so 3D models, photos, videos, 2D graphics, all combined in an interactive way to bring a highly visual, interrogatable visual to the front line. So when we have 3D models in our work instructions, the end user can interact with them, can understand what's the name of a particular part, hide and show things, rotate them around, expose PMI data, so GD&T information related to the model. So this is just an example of consuming our instructions in a tablet. So from the perspective of a frontline worker, having digital work instructions on a PC, a tablet, or a mobile phone would be the outcome of the authored instructions. So our solution is a platform product. We have an application that includes an authoring application. As I mentioned, there's 3D, 2D, image, video. There's also audio, text, tables, and this is a platform where you can collaborate on documents. So you have shared access and you can edit with a wider team. And then we manage the storage of those documents in our cloud platform. So we have document management, user permissions, and the ability to share and access those documents as needed. And then consuming those documents, it's all in the browser. So you can scan a QR code, open it in a phone, access the platform, consume right in the browser. That's all interactive, so 3D models can be rotated. And then I'll get a little more into this, but we also have the chance to augment this consumption experience through our SDKs to enable things like data capture and feedback. So using the document as a communication layer, essentially. So we'll get into those examples so that will all make more sense. Again, let's zoom in to an EV doc. So this is an example of an end result of an EV doc. So we have this interactive digital work instruction being consumed digitally on a tablet. We have 2D model on the left-hand side of this page. We have an interactive 3D animation up in the front center. And then we also have an MP4 video. So let's think of being able to watch someone doing a certain manufacturing assembly sequence and being able to interact with a 3D model side by side. So I can get the best of both worlds, seeing what it looks like in reality, and also being able to get a really close look at that 3D asset on the right. We see some live IoT data that's embedded there, some advanced functionality, and finally we see in the bottom right, we see language layers. So we have icons to toggle on and off different languages. When we think about the new workforce, we have a young workforce entering, we have a global workforce, multilingual workforce. So being able to make our instructions highly visual and then translating the required text to a native language is really important to enable the whole workforce. On this slide, we also see an example of our data capture, and I'll show a live example in the demo, but we're able to leave comments, enter, let's say, quality data that we might gather during an assembly sequence, and store that as needed, or send that information to who needs to know. So let's think if there is some observation made on the front line that, let's say there's a problem with the design, we're able to catch that at the first available moment and send that back to engineering to make sure some action is taken. And then we see some markup and review is also possible for the authors. So just a few more slides and I'll get into the demo. So Barbara introduced this in the beginning, but we serve 3 main use cases with Canvas Envision. That is assembly, so making highly visual model-based work instructions to reduce the errors and improve the throughput that the front line is able to create, and then also importantly capture feedback from the frontline worker to make sure that their observations are captured during, let's say, an assembly sequence. We also serve maintenance and repair. So we have use cases where people are taking a QR code and they have a maintenance procedure related to hardware, so it's available in the field. So we also serve maintenance and repair, and we have online and offline consumption. So it can be downloaded to a tablet or mobile device and then utilized, let's say, in a remote service scenario. And then finally, we also have training use cases, so training people around assembly and maintenance. We want people to be trained in the way that they work. So being able to embed this model-based visual instruction into their, say, LMS application is a common scenario for our customers to be able to provide more visual interactive content Instead of relying exclusively on in-person training, they have the ability to give people an in-person experience using LMS in a remote way. So a little bit more about Envision. Some of the reasons people select Envision has to do with meeting their high-level business KPI goals. So we provide content authoring capabilities in our application, and this we're able to do much more efficiently than some of the alternate workflows. Being able to create model-based instructions rapidly in an intuitive tool that can be updated on the fly when models change is important for our customers. So when they go and revise their engineering content, they don't need to go back and create brand new instructions. They can implement the new model on the fly into the visual instructions they created. And then we also allow our customers to customize their experiences. So the visual interactive document can be embedded and customized into their existing workflow. So things like LMS, PLM, MES, we are able to augment those investments and those applications. And then I mentioned the sustainability. Everything embedded in our documents can be linked to live data. So when there is a change to the content, it can be permeated on the fly. And the visual nature of these documents make them very clear. And the ability to capture data from the end user of them enables people to create a quality loop. So they can create continuous improvement through the feedback that they get in the field. And all of this helps satisfy the high-level KPIs that are measured in a business. So I will, just 2 more slides, and these are technical. So as an overview, our application, our platform application includes a creator application to handle 3D CAD, 2D, vector, raster. We can also import existing PDFs as a jumping off point in digital transformation. Typically, there's some legacy content in PDF format, so we'll take that in and then augment it with more visual data. And we also enable people to animate the 3D content, which is important. I mentioned earlier that the cloud platform handles user management, file management, the ability to share. And then our viewer application is EV Portal, a portal to view the content interactively. That can be embedded anywhere. And it can also include augmenting that experience through our SDK using data capture. So zooming into the SDK portion, our platform comes with an SDK portfolio. So EV Consume and EV Connect are available now. EV Consume allows our customers to embed Canvas Envision, embed the viewing experience natively in other software applications. It also enables people to control the customization of data capture. I think it'll be very clear when I show an example. And then EV Connect is also available now, and that enables customers to integrate into master systems like a PLM to be able to pull data and from its single source of truth from a PLM or a PDM, and also update it from that source, and even use the engineering change control and file management process that is in the PLM. So truly connecting Canvas Envision to other software platforms. In Q2 of this year, we'll also have EV Create and EV Console. EV Create is an exciting update for us because it will allow users to script and automate the generation of documentation. And EV Console will more readily expose some of the KPI metrics around document consumption. And finally, just a few quotes from our customers and partners I'm showing on the slide. I'll just zoom into the bottom center. We have a customer using our product in an installation scenario where they're saving $11,000 in training by avoiding scrap and some of the investments required in in-person training by utilizing our work instructions by scanning a QR code in their product. So a great example. And you'll see some others just on the efficiency of generating content, no longer going back and forth between engineering, relying on CAD licenses, but actually being able to utilize 3D CAD in a democratized way. So from there, I will jump into the demo. All right. So Barbara, slow me down if you don't see a new screen, but I'm showing Canvas Envision right now.
Yeah, we see it.
Excellent. So on my screen, you see the cloud platform, our application we're accessing from the browser. On the left-hand side, you'll see some various work centers. So as far as managing files, we have centers, we have EVDoc files, which is our proprietary format, and an administrator can provide permissions to people as necessary. And then authors can edit these documents all in the browser. So I've opened one already, so we can take a quick look at what an author would see. You'll notice a very Microsoft-like UI in our tool. So we have a highly intuitive, discoverable, a very short learning curve to use our application. So you'll notice if I select a 3D model here, we see the 3D model tab show up in the ribbon. So everything is context aware. And then just to take a preview from an end user perspective on just this simple document, if we were to access this from our platform, according to my permissions as I'd have read-only permissions to this document, and I can interact with any view that's included. So if we select a 3D view in the document, we'll be able to select, rotate, hide, and show this in the context of the document. If I click outside, it'll snap back to its authored view, so nobody can go too far astray from the author's design intent. I don't think everyone will have the camera on the recording, but I can use a space mouse, 3D mouse, to rotate models around in the view or authoring workflow. And that was a recent enhancement that we had. 3D views can also be viewed in a full screen mode. In that mode, in addition to being able to kind of zoom, hide and show, isolate components, we also have access to the assembly tree. So anything that's visible for me as a consumer of this document, I'll see in the assembly tree. So I can show all, and then I will be able to see the name of any component included here, along with any metadata that might exist. And I also have standard views, so I can use those as well. And if I exit out again, I'll just be in the authored view. So as we go through this example of assembly, step-by-step assembly instructions, we'll see throughout we have text side by side with 3D. We're utilizing some of the authoring capability to hide components, explode them, change color, add offset lines, to make it really clear what's involved in each step, draw attention to components of interest. And as we go throughout, we can see the sequence. We're slowly assembling this robot assembly. So we also have 3D labels exposed here. We're able to label in 2D and 3D and pull out metadata, so you don't have to manually type in the names of components. You can utilize the metadata properties of the model. And as we go throughout, we'll just see again, this is slowly assembled with some text, some 3D labels, And then finally, I want to show an animation. We have a lot of people coming to us looking for animated work instructions to enable a younger workforce who has a high expectation around visual content, being able to understand something quickly and visually. And we think that our 3D animations provide this quick snapshot and understanding of how an assembly sequence should be executed. So you'll see some flashing effects, a change in the camera, to just give a really quick visual overview, even without going through the step-by-step of how it all should be. And that can be paused and interacted with throughout the animation. And on this example, I just have one more slide or one more page here to show some of the language capabilities. So we have these smart layers that can expose different levels of content. So it could be a level of detail, but in this scenario, 2 different languages. So English and Spanish all within one document without producing, let's say, a very long document in 2 languages. We just have that toggle available. So I'm going to switch back to the creator application so we can see a little bit about how this is made. And I'll show a few more examples, a little bit more advanced examples and different examples of work instructions authored in Envision as well. So here, just to give a lay of the land, we talked about the ribbon already. In this document, we have a multi-page document that we just went through. We see pages on the left. We also have a concept of a master page. So any kind of branding or templating that should be applied can be applied using a master page. We have quite a bit of 2D editing capabilities to make that easy. And then on the 3D side, let's take a look at that. So in the 3D model menu, you'll see we have the first icon is update 3D models. So this is important because when there is a change to this model, we're able to update that and permeate all these 3D views that are generated from this assembly on the fly. So all of this work that was done to break things apart and animate them can be maintained when there is a model change available. We can also generate a bill of materials from this 3D model utilizing the information in the CAD file. So things like part names and quantities can be generated from the 3D model. We can also vectorize this 3D model, so we can have a vector that's we can edit and manipulate and color and all of that in 2D. So thick and thin lines and all of that. So in the 3D edit, let's just take a look. So one of the important notes on our tool is that you don't need to be an engineer or designer to be able to edit 3D models in Envision. So we'll see on the left-hand side, there's an assembly tree as well as 3D properties. So if I select any component, you'll see I can change the color using the 3D properties to any color that I want. If I select one, let's see. And I can also reposition components. So if I grab, let's say, that same wheel, I can also translate it. So just using my 3D mouse here. So I can translate any component by dragging it or entering a numerical value. And then once that is exploded, I can also create offset lines, and they can be styled in any way I want. So this was what we used to create these step-by-step views I showed earlier. So hiding certain components, exploding them, adding any color changes, and then an offset line. And then we also have the ability to create cut planes. And then I mentioned the 3D labels can be generated using the metadata available in the model. So if we grab a 3D label, we're able to label anything. And then we can override it with a custom string or utilize the properties in that component. So from here, I'll just get out of this one without saving. And we'll go a little bit throughout this document and just pause on the animations. So one of the great features in our application is a very intuitive animation tool. So here you see the animation timeline. So when people go to create animations, they'll be able to generate keyframes along a timeline. So by selecting any component and capturing a keyframe for its location, and then moving that component to another position, we can generate the illusion of motion, right? So we interpolate the position between point 1 and point 2 to generate the motion that we see in this tool. So as you see right here, we have at time 3, on time 4.5, we have these components moving in because they have a keyframe at time 3 and time 4.5. The other keyframes that exist are color. So we can emphasize a certain component, let's say make it yellow when it's being installed, and then change the color back to its sort of nominal or authored color. And we can also manipulate the opacity to create that illusion of things appearing. And finally, the camera position. So being able to rotate around and take a look at the area of interest throughout the animation. So if we press play, you'll see some of that all go on. So the opacity is being manipulated, the position, just to show this assembly sequence step by step. So this is a tool that people find highly intuitive, especially compared to similar tools in other applications. So we take a lot of pride in this. And I will get out of this. And I think from there, it's maybe worth mentioning a few of these other features, and then I'll jump into some other visual work instructions. So we focus a lot on 3D models. We can see text, it's quite intuitive, what you might expect. Let's see, we also have photo editing in our tool. So it's an all-in-one, so you don't need to work with so many different applications to generate visual work instructions, but you can actually include those photos and embed MP4s side by side with your model-based work instructions. There's a symbol library as well, so anything can be saved as a symbol and reused easily. And then on the 2D side, I think I will show a little more of that in the next instruction, because there are some 2D illustrations I can share. So let's take a look at this instruction. So this is an example of a component maintenance manual. And we'll take a look here. So on this one, we looked at languages, how we can toggle different languages on and off, back and forth in the last instruction. In this one, we're showing different levels of detail. So sometimes a new employee versus an experienced employee need different information. If someone's done something 100 times, they need a quick reference and move on. But someone who's new might need an animation, a picture, or a video. So just a simple example of how we can expose simple 2D instructions. This 2D was vectorized from a 3D model, so that is all in the tool, and then edited. So you see some annotation lens, another feature we have available, some coloring that we did, as well as the bill of materials pulled from the model and some annotations. And then we also have on this layer the 3D model with the 3D labels, and that's interactive, of course. And then we have photos as well. So some photo editing went on here just to draw attention to this shock absorber assembly. So looking at these instructions, again, we are presenting some simple examples to give some ideas, but here we've presented photo images side by side related to PPE gear that might be necessary. So having 3D side by side with photo images is a common use case. And here we're just showing some of the 2D capabilities as well. So we can vectorize these 3D, we can also pull in vector graphics and then edit those vector graphics using, we can select points and really manipulate that 2D as needed to live side by side with 3D to show things like schematics, drawings, cross sections, electrical diagrams. So as we go throughout, we'll see a little bit more of this, some 2D and photos side by side with 3D references as we assemble this shock absorber. And then again, some 2D drawings that were created in our tool just to explain this product a little more. So from there, I'll just open this document and you'll see that it's published right now. If I want to edit it, I can create a new draft and that will revise the version of the file. And we'll just take we'll take a quick glance at layers and 2D drawings, I think, just to show some nuances here. So there we go. So yeah, so we have some photo images and just to draw attention, let's see. I think I'll vectorize the 3D to show that for the first time, and we'll just take a look at some of what's possible. And while this will create vector paths for my 3D model. Oh, actually, I think I will jump. There's one other thing I did want to show, might be more interesting than the 2D side. So this example was the final example I really wanted to dive into, and this utilizes our SDK. So in this example, you'll notice a difference in the user interface. So right now, I'm not accessing this file from Envision by logging in and seeing what I have access to, but rather it's embedded in a website. So this is an example of how we can take Envision and we can put these EV docs anywhere where HTML can reside. So in this example, we have, again, some languages that are shown in this document. We have our layer actions. So we created buttons out of these icons. And then we see some more, essentially, buttons that were created in the tool as well. So let's just take a look at what we did here. So when we select Contact the Supervisor, using the SDK and some low code, a little bit of JavaScript and HTML, we've implemented this data capture here. So when we want to contact a supervisor, we can select through this customization, add an image. It'll add an image of this document the way that it's presented now, and then I can add my comment here for my supervisor and email them. And this dialogue is completely customizable. So as I go next, you'll see on this button, I can't simply go to the next page, but I have to confirm the pre-installation checklist in this dialogue, so really related to PPE and safety procedures. And once I've confirmed all, I'm then able to proceed to the next page. So on this page, we'll see that we can watch a video of these work instructions, and we won't be able to proceed until we've actually confirmed that we watched this video. So I will press play on this video and we'll see. I have to watch this whole thing, and then I can't just go fly through these instructions without obeying the instruction. When I go next here, as I watch the end of the video, I have this confirmation, and this can be captured, of course. This data can be captured that I actually watched the instruction. So again, an example of work instructions where we have photos side by side with text, so highly visual. And I'll just follow these instructions step by step, disconnecting power in order to install this, mill spindle head. You can see here we have the 3D model included. So we can interact with that, and we see some 2D labels pulled out, as well as the 3D available. So we can take a closer look at that spindle head, and we can also view that in full screen. And again, just some more examples. We've used some 2D icons along with 3D to make this highly visual. We've also used the ability to pull out dimensions. When 3D is vectorized into 2D, we're able to take dimensions off of it based on the scale of the model. So we can expose some 2D dimensioning there as well. Here are photos, some photo editing. You see some ghosting. So this is something we can manipulate the opacity and ghost components to show some of the internal details. So something else you can do with model-based instructions is really give an interior view into an assembly or component. And then this is a little bit about how it's made, which is also on our website. So I'm going to just circle around to talk a little bit about the SDKs. So our SDKs, again, come with our platform. They're available to all of our customers. They're available to admin users. And you see in our admin area, we have development tools in all of our SDKs. We have a Fiddler sandbox in order to play with and test different commands available in our SDK. We also have sample applications available. So things like surveys, conversations, manipulating 3D models, and the example I just showed, all of those examples are here. So there's a starting point for people who want to experiment with those, and they can be downloaded along with detailed documentation. So with that, I showed the 3 samples that I wanted to expose as well as the slides. Barbara, that wraps up my presentation. Were there any questions?
Thank you so much, Ellie. This certainly gave us an idea of what Envision is capable of. I'm going to urge everybody to type their question on the question tab that it's in the control panel. We're here for you. Okay. Let's see, we have one right now. What kind of file formats does Envision support?
Great question. So Canvas Envision is CAD agnostic. So we support over 30 formats of 3D CAD. So all the major formats that are used in the engineering and manufacturing industry. So think NX, SolidWorks, Creo, JT, STEP, we support all of those formats.
Okay, this is great news. Another question is, what kind of hosting options are there for Envision?
Sure. So I mentioned that we have a cloud platform. So we do offer a SaaS solution that's hosted by Canvas. So there's no kind of IT overhead for the customer in that scenario. We also have self-hosted deployments for cloud and on-prem. So we offer AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, as well as Linux and Windows on-prem deployments. So we are very flexible in that capacity as well.
All right, cool. I think here's another one. Is version control supported?
Yeah, good question. So as you can see, I still have my screen up here, so we can see there's a version in the upper right. So if I just jump over to this work center, we can see we have versions here, and every time that we publish a document, it's published to a major version. So you see version 4, and then we can versions are also created on each save. So if I go to version history here, you'll see every time I save this document, there's a version history captured. And then when I go to publish a major version is created. And I can also create minor versions as needed as well. So 2.0.1.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you so much. While I wait for other question, I have a question in terms of, as I can understand, so Envision is not just an out-of-the-box product that you add to cart and you have it. It's highly customizable. So how does that work? Because we urge our potential customer to contact us, and then we'll create a connection with you, and will get the product that they really need. And
Right.
how does that
Right.
work?
So how does the customization work? Right. So I'll say the first step of the custom option is really the deployment. So we offer an automated installation package with predetermined architecture. And then there's things that can be configured even on, let's say, like identity verification, identity, just like login, single sign-on.
Okay.
So those elements are customizable. But then thinking about the whole workflow,
Yeah.
the real customization comes into play on, I guess, there's customization at each step. So then the management of the documents we mentioned, EV Connect SDK enables integration into master systems for file management, and that's well documented. We have samples on Git that are public that can be reused. We also have service partners that can create some of those solutions. So we have a, let's say, a library of partners who have done integrations like that into PLM, like Eris Innovator, PLM integration, for instance. So that can be done by in-house development. If you have the resources, you can utilize our samples and our documentation, or you can utilize a Canvas partner to do that development. And on the consumption side, I just went to this page because I realized I hadn't talked about it much, but we see all levels of digital transformation go on. So from people going from paper to digital for the first time, all the way to integrating into a highly advanced MES system. So, you know, the very first step is sometimes generating a link to a document, putting it on an internal website, or generating, you see this QR code, and putting that on hardware. So we start there, and then using the EV Consume SDK, we can embed these instructions into master systems like MES, and we also have partners in that arena that can do that kind of work, and also some off-the-shelf solutions that will be available at some point in this calendar year as well. So I guess we allow people to DIY. We're very open with our SDKs, and then we also try to enable people through a partner network.
Well, thank you. That was really illuminating. So what I don't see any other question. What I'm going to do is switch to my screen and show you
Great.
exactly where you can find Canva Envision on our website. And as you can see, there's an orange tab, and you can ask for a quote, or you can call us and ask information, and we'll get you. In touch with Canvas GFX, and we'll get the process started. Thank you again, Ellie, for joining us today and give us this accurate overview of Envision. And I want to urge everybody to give us a call and check Envision at novedge.com, and remind you that Novedge is changing the way designers purchase 3D software, because we have all the choices and you have the freedom to go back and forth different products, and you can talk to us. So there's no confusion. Okay, thanks again, and have a great rest of the day. Bye bye, everybody. Bye.